reason for the distinction of veterinary medicine was to, actually it was originally veterinary surgery, was to protect the food supply, your food supply. The food that became part of your meal was essentially needed oversight. And veterinarians originally, their job was to maintain not just food supply, but transportation. Because a lot of transportation way back then was horse-drawn carriage. And so veterinarians played a crucial role in everybody's everyday life. Not just the 70% of people who own a pet, not just the 1.2 million people who own a horse, but everyone's life depended on a veterinarian to take care of their animals, to take care of the animals that fed their families, to make sure that those animals were healthy and not harboring disease that could infect the family and create illness and death. Veterinarians were important, played a really important role in cleaning up the cities, because way back then, and I don't mean that long ago, probably in the early 1900s, cities were not a clean place. They didn't have civic sewer. They didn't have indoor plumbing. They didn't have a way to dispose of things, animals, when they died. Sure, they had coroners, but there was no way to get rid of your dead horse or dog or any of those other animals you happen to have in your household, because in the cities, guys, people still had milk cows, people still had chickens, people still had something to sustain their family. They didn't have refrigeration, so they had to have readily available everyday food. And the only way to do that was to have animals on your property. Veterinarians are specially trained to help homeowners understand how those animals affected their property, their livelihood, their environment. That said, what does that have to do with animal chiropractic? Well, one of the big crises that a lot of people don't realize, because most people live in municipal areas, and most people have this kind of animal. Thanks, Willow, for the deposit in their house, in their yard, in their family. They don't have cows, pigs, chickens, goats, sheep. And veterinary medicine has gravitated toward the money. Where's the money come for veterinarians? It comes because it's so important to dog owners to keep their pet healthy. It's so important to them that they spend billions of dollars each year to manage their pets. Billions. They buy them clothes. They transform their lives into more like people lives. And those animals are beginning to show signs of illness, just like people, chronic illnesses. Animal chiropractic, where's that coming in? Well, in order for veterinarians to reclaim their place in the rural community that raises the food for those people who are more urban, they need help. There are fewer and fewer veterinarians doing what we call large animal medicine or production food medicine than ever before. And the number's getting less each year. It's hard to attract young, fresh out of school, highly vetted veterinarians to go to a rural area where income is low, wages are low, and they will have to work long, hard hours for less than what their small animal counterparts are getting. Their small animal counterparts, on the other hand, are getting sign-on bonuses. They're getting, work 3 days a week, make 6 figures every year kind of deals. No emergencies, you never have to work an overnight shift, any of those things. And that makes it difficult. Who wouldn't want that kind of life? That said, it's so important. I'm so glad you guys let me take a moment. What else is really important is my followers. It's so important that you are here liking and subscribing and commenting and sharing. If you didn't know that was the original role of veterinary medicine, I want you to mention it in the comments. How does your veterinarian interact with you, or do you have one? It may be that you don't have a veterinarian in your life because I don't need one. All right, how many of you feel that way? I don't need one. Yes, you do. You need a veterinarian in your life to be taking care of the food that you bring into your house. And some of you say, well, I'm a vegetarian. Guess what? You're affected by this just as much, because what those producers are putting into their livestock ends up in your soil and ends up in your plants. And that said, if your plants are in a place, are being grown someplace where that's not routinely managed, I want you to keep in mind that you're just as affected by all the pesticides and herbicides and drugs. And your plants can't be healthy without the microbes in the soil that help them to bring in the nutrients they need. Animal chiropractic for production animal health is a way to help both veterinarians and chiropractors, and it's a way to help clients, customers who eat that food to, number one, have a better quality food. Number two, to help those farmers and ranchers make more money with the food that they're growing so that they can continue to do that, so they can leave that legacy for their children and the next person who buys their farm. It also aids in making that food healthier for you, because when those animals can thrive and survive in a normal environment with whatever else is in that environment with them, it might be a couple parasites, it might be a bacteria that they can now get rid of, then everybody's healthier. If you're a veterinarian or a chiropractor and you would like to help your community, this world, have a better longevity because our food source is better protected, find us today at animalchiropracticeducation.com as we move animal chiropractic further and further into the production animal side of health management. When we adjust cows, pigs, chickens, goats, sheep, the animals that people globally use as food sources, we all do better. Find us today at animalchiropracticeducation.com and we will show you how to make a profitable and purpose-driven animal chiropractic practice.